Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Better. And welcome to those who are watching from home. Good morning to you. And that song, lots of energy in that song, right? So my name is Roseanne Holbrook. I'm the client service manager here at 3 Key Elements, and I also am a mentor for the company. And we are just thrilled to have you here. Today we're going to talk about connection a little bit. So I want you to turn and high five the person next to you. And everybody connect with somebody with a high five behind you, at the side of you. And let's not miss this one on the back row. Do you want to high five her? So everyone has had a little bit of connection, and high five our audience at home. So there's just something about connecting, isn't there? And sometimes we go through life and don't. And sometimes we don't even look up and look at people in the eyes. And today we're going to talk about that. So it's going to be pretty exciting and awesome. So I like that good morning scenario. I have a little story. Like one time when I was in St. George staying with my grandkids, and I was in my granddaughter's bed, and one of them came tumbling in the morning, and they're like, "Scoot over, I want the hot spot." And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Scoot over." So finally I scoot over. She gets the hot spot, right? And then here comes her brother. "Scoot over, I want the hot spot." And we had this little rival going on. And so I said, how about if we all go out on the tramp? Let's go out on the tramp so we don't wake up the baby. And I said, so we did that, and they had all this energy going. And when we came back in the house, I'm like, let's open the blinds and say, "Good morning, world." And we did that. And they were like, "Good morning, world." And I was like, that's all the better we can do after we've actually jumped on the tramp and had cereal on the tramp. So they did it again. And a few weeks later, my daughter sent me a text. She goes, "I just think Mom's got to be in the house," because my kids are opening the drapes going, "Good morning, world." And so that story has become really powerful to me, and you ought to try that. So let's all do it one more time right after me, or on 3, let's all do it together. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, world! And doesn't it do something to you? Some energy, right? Well, it's my privilege today to introduce to you who is going to be your mentor and your trainer, and on stage with you this morning. And she is dynamic. She's an inspiring speaker. If you have not gone and listened to her TED Talk on YouTube, do it. It's powerful, amazing. She has given over 2,400 presentations throughout the country, and she changes lives and inspires people. And one of the greatest lessons she teaches all of us is how she went from messy to mastery. She's an amazing woman, incredible, has been married 24 years, and they have 5 amazing children. And I've had the privilege of meeting all of them. And she continues to use the tools that she'll share today with her own children, and just keeps rippling out. So it's my privilege today to introduce to you Ann Washburn. Let's bring her to stage.
Thank you, Roseanne. Good morning, everybody. Whoa, am I coming through the mic? Yes, you hear me? Awesome. Hey, so I have a couple of questions for you really quick. One of them is, how many of you know anything about body language? I like these kind of answers. That's awesome. How many of you would like to know what the person sitting next to you is saying with their body language? And it's like, wait a second, is that legal? All right, awesome. I like these kinds of answers. Well, here's why I love body language and why I know that you're really smart to spend a couple of hours with me today. Because when it comes to communication, if you look on the front of your paper, do you have a handout? I do not. So show me yours. Okay. Excellent. On the front of theirs, on your paper, do you see where it says the 3 voices of communication? Do you see that? Oh, look, now I have one. Thank you. So right here it says the 3 voices of communication. When you see it, say, got it?
Got it.
Awesome. So if I were to take those and draw them as a pie chart. So we've seen pie charts back in elementary school. we can actually divide this up like this. These are the three voices of communication. And everybody uses all three of them to varying degrees. But what happened was, one time, there's all these people out there that call themselves scientists, and they want to figure out how things work. So one time they decided they wanted to see if people are using voice and tone and gesture, which one do people pay the most attention to? And so they did this study where they were varying the voice, where they sent what we would call conflicting messages. Like they had a person use their words in one way and their body language in a different way and their tone in a different way. So for example, if I stood up here and I did this, I went, you know what? Today is the best day of my life. On a scale of 1 today is an 11. Awesome. Do you see how they don't match? So they were using messages like that. Your voice would say one thing and your tone and your body language something else. And what they found was when you send a confusing message like this, people will pay attention to the words or take the message from the words only 7% of the time. When the messages don't match, people will take the meaning from the words only 7% of the time. Now think about that. We know this is true because when you have a snidey voice tone, which one do people pay attention to? The words or the voice tone? What do you get in trouble for more often? The voice tone. In fact, on average, only 38% of the time do people actually take the message from the voice tone. Which that means that if you did your math here, 55% of the time, they are taking the message from your gestures or your body language. Now, here's the other problem with this though. What if you don't know what message you're sending with your body language? And it doesn't match your words? Could this create a problem? Now, the problem has a name. The problem is miscommunication. That's the name of the problem. Anybody ever heard of it? Anybody ever experienced it? Yeah, that's a fun one. We miscommunicate with people when we send conflicting messages. So I could send one message with my words, a different one with my body language, and when they don't match, I now am miscommunicating. And where is miscommunication costly in our world? Where does it cost you? Everywhere. Relationships. Where else? Business, work. Anything else? In family, for sure. Even as simple as if you miscommunicate with the waiter at the restaurant. Now that can be costly, especially if you have like an allergy or you're at the doctor's office and you don't communicate your allergy. Miscommunication can be very costly. It can be costly in money, in time, in resources, in relationships. Money, time, resources, and relationships are all prices that we end up paying for miscommunication. So it stands to reason if we can improve our communication, we can have more resources, money, and money, resources, relationships, and time be available to us in our life because we aren't too busy spending it on miscommunication. Does this make sense? So this is why I know you are really smart, because to spend a couple of hours here today to be able to learn how to avoid miscommunication and increase your communication will actually improve your results. So in other words, if we improve our body language, we'll improve our results. Anybody here have a goal? Raise your hand if you have a goal. Now, leave your hand up for a second. If that goal matters to you, that you really want it, leave your hand up. Oh, I like that. Even the hands went up a little higher. So your goal matters to you, then one thing that will benefit you is understanding how to avoid miscommunication. Because in our world, in order to accomplish goals, almost every time you have to communicate with somebody to achieve that goal. Humans are involved in humans are evolved, that's funny. Humans are involved in almost every goal that we achieve on this planet. Because we are in a very highly communicative world, more than ever before in history. Because nowadays you can get your phone out and you can see what the weather report is in Australia. You don't even have to get on the telegraph and telegraph around the world to find out what their weather is. You can see the satellite images from your phone. There is more communication available than ever, which means this. There is more possibility for miscommunication than ever before. And so you're very wise to be here to learn about your communication and how to improve it, because as you improve that, you can improve everything you're choosing that you want in your life. So first of all, I just want to congratulate you. I think this is probably the highest percentage class that I've ever seen raise their hand when I asked if they had a goal. So I congratulate you for choosing a goal. Because one of the things that I see happening in the world right now is a lot of people are giving up choosing goals. Because they're like, what's the point? It's hard. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what keeps messing me up. And I totally understand that, because this is my 8th year that I have been working as a body language expert. And before I was a body language expert, my life was very different. It was very different, and it was very frustrating to me because I did not understand how to communicate with people. I really had a hard time with it. And so I had gotten to the point that it was like, why would I even go out and communicate with people when I put forth so much effort and my results are so small in comparison? You ever been frustrated in trying to work with people? And it's like, really? They just don't get me. They don't, and this is the way I always said it. People are just mean. That's what I would tell my husband. I'd say, how come everybody on this planet's so mean? And he looked at me one time and he goes, Ann, I don't think you really want the answer to that question. And I was like, fine, you're mean too. And so I understand what it's like to be frustrated with trying to achieve our goals. So I congratulate you and applaud you for being willing to have one, you guys. That's the first step, and it's a big deal in our world. So good job. Can you guys just give yourselves a big round of applause for having goals? I'm proud of you. So if I want to improve my communication because I would like to achieve my goal, where should I put the effort? Body language. If that is the piece that people pay the most attention to, then I would get the biggest return on my investment if I work on my body language. So you're very smart to learn about your body language. But here's the problem. How many classes in body language are you offered as you go through school? We don't get them. And yet look at how much it matters. It makes a difference. And so as you're here today, these are the things that I'm going to cover with you. So if you take your handout here, on the inside of this handout, there is an insert, is what they call it. And you can pull that one out. And this one says the Online Academy. Live trainings and online courses. 3 Key Elements is an education company, and this is a list of those classes and audio recordings that we offer. And that's for your reference. You can put that down and so you can reference it later. Now I want to draw your attention to this one. Right here on the inside, you can even open it and fold it backwards like this. We've got 3 different parts. Part 1 is a list of the different kinds or categories of messages that come from different parts of our body language. And people used to just scribble these notes really fast as I taught the class, so I thought, well, why not just write them down for you and we can reference them later. So this one we will reference many times. And today, if you read the email, I do these classes every month right here in this room, and they're broadcast online. We have 150 people joining us online from around the world today. So we just wave at them. We're really glad that they're here. Yay! And I, each month, have a different subject or focus of body language, because body language is a big subject, and this month our focus is on eyes. So I'm going to teach you a lot about eyes this month. And I teach these classes other places as well. In fact, this Friday, March 2nd, I will be teaching a class in Grand Junction, Colorado. So if you know people in Colorado that would like to be able to come to one of these trainings, tell them. It's on our website, the address, and I will be there this Friday. Cool? All right, so part one, this will be a reference. Especially, I want to look at this one in the lower left corner. Do you see where it says 4 foundational moves? When you see it, say, got it. Got it. Right there, these are the 4 foundational moves that people use with their hands. And so look at what they say here. Read this with me. Number 1, what you push goes away. What you push goes away. Huh. Can you imagine that? That makes sense, right? If somebody pushes with their hands, it goes away. Where do we see people push a lot? Relationships. Where else? Compliments. Yep. Oh, thank you. Kids, we push. There's a lot of push that happens. And then we're surprised when people don't want to connect with us. Interesting. So now number 2, what you pull. All right, let's practice this again. Ready? What you pull comes towards you. Does that make sense? Okay, when do we see this kind of a move? When do people pull? What was that?
Come into my home.
Come into my home. Come this way. Yep. Where else do we see that?
When we need something from someone.
Oh, yeah, I need this. Can I get this? Yep. When we need something. What was that one? In a hug. It's like, here, let me give you a hug. So we bring things closer when we use a pull type of a move. All right, number 3, what you hold down. Okay, where do we see this kind of a move? Parents. Parents to children. Not just parents, how about teachers? If you want to see this move, just go to school on the first week of school. Sit down, be quiet, don't move. There's a lot of this kind of movement with kids especially. Now, the problem with this is we actually will see this one everywhere. In business, I'll see business leaders who will talk like this. Now, how does this kind of energy feel compared to this kind of energy? Do you feel a difference when I use a different body language towards you? Isn't that crazy? It feels different. So number 4 on here, what you lift grows. And so there's power. There's power in simple changes in our body language. If we catch ourselves using a lot of this body language, and all we do is flip our palm up, it would change the messages that we're sending to people. So we're going to talk about different parts of our body language today and how to adjust them. So part 2 and part 3 are fill in the blank. Now, luckily, I'm a really nice teacher and I will give you all the answers. And if you miss one, I encourage you to cheat off your neighbor. Is that cool? You don't get that very often in school. So I would encourage you to get all the answers to these fill in the blanks. Right here where this stick figure is, this is my favorite part. Because this is where I'm going to show you why you would send different messages with your body language and not even know it. Because I used to wonder, I'm like, well, if I'm trying to send a message, why would I send a different message with my body language than my words? So I'm going to show you what's going on in your subconscious and why that happens. And this is one of the things I talked about on the TED Talk that they had me do a year and a half ago. And why our subconscious sends a different message in our body language. So I'm going to cover all of these pieces. And then this blank space around here, that's where you can take the notes on the bonus material that I share, which are the tangents that I go on based on what we talk about in the class today. Tangents are bonus material. Got it? All right. So I have a question for you. How many of you have been to a 3 key elements class before? Okay, about half of you. Excellent. And the others of you, welcome. I'm glad to have you here today. So these are the things we're going to cover. Are you in? Yes. Are you interested? Yes. All right. So those are the pieces that we'll cover today. But really quick, before I delve into that, can I tell you how I became a body language expert? Anybody curious? Yes. Because in November, it will be 8 years that I have been doing that. I have given over 3,947 presentations. So I talk just a few places, okay? So I've learned a little bit about body language along the way. Now, the other thing I get to do is I also get to mentor people. I work with people one-on-one and in small groups. In fact, my latest group mentoring just started yesterday in this room. And I work with these people for 3 months, helping them see what's between them and the goals that they're trying to accomplish. Because that's the really cool thing about body language, is because it will send a different message than your words. When I watch your body language, I can now show you what's stopping you from accomplishing your goals. And that is pretty powerful when we understand what is in front of us that's stopping us. Then we can choose something different, get over that obstacle, and accomplish our goal. And that's what we really want. We don't just pick goals because they're fun to look at. We pick them because we want to accomplish them, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay, good to know. So I call it, I have the coolest job on the planet. I love what I do. But before I had this coolest job on the planet, I used to work in flight simulation. I built multi-million-dollar flight simulators. And my first job out of college, I worked in explosives. So explosives, flight simulation, body language expert, career path. But that's not exactly the career path that they told me I should take coming out of high school. But the reason it happened was this. Back in this place called high school, anybody visited there? Crazy place, high school. I realized I didn't get along with people very well. I didn't really like people very much. In fact, it was frustrating that I had to interact with people. Didn't like the teachers, didn't like the students, so I came up with a plan. The plan was leave high school, go to the nearest college, see if they would take me instead. Turns out they will. I had no idea. So at 16, I left and went to college, and I said, all right, I just want to come to college. And the guy in the registration office says, okay, but on your application, you need to list a major. And I'm like, a major? I didn't even know you were going to take me at college. Why am I coming to college? Let's see, to date the boys. That's why I'm coming to college. So I asked him, what majors do you have with no girls in them? And he goes, no girls? And I said, yeah, I don't need the competition. And he's like, okay. Opens his book and he says, well, in that case, how about you be an engineer? And I looked at him, I was like, I do not want to drive a train. And he's like, in our program, there are no trains and very few girls. And I said, really? Sign me up. So I went through school in mechanical engineering. True story. There were not very many girls. I know, because they called me into the dean's office one day and said, we've elected you Woman of the Year for the department. And I was like, thanks, I think. Because I'm like, how hard was this competition? And he goes, well, we haven't had one for a while. So let's just say that we're glad you're here. And I was like, all right, thank you. So I was Woman of the Year for the engineering department. And then I graduated in engineering and married an engineer. It was kind of part of the plan. And so now I'm married and we have kids. And things are good because I can just hide in my cubicle and I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just send out emails, I can leave voicemail, but I don't have to talk to anybody. Life's good. But then my kids get old enough to go to school. And now I'm right back at the school having the same kinds of interactions that I used to. And I'm like, seriously? Everybody is so mean. This is so frustrating. Because I have 4 boys and 1 daughter. But I still was not communicating with people. It was very frustrating. In fact, I got to the point where I would just send the kids to school in the morning and I would hide in the house. Wouldn't answer the phone and I would not answer the door. Because no matter how hard I tried, that effort I was putting out was not getting me back good results. And I decided that people were just to be avoided. And my body language showed that. But I had no idea. But as I'm hiding in my house, I'm flipping through the 7 channels that I had on my TV at the time. And I was watching this interview of these entertainers. And I remember watching them and going, I would never stand like that. I remember standing up in the living room and trying on one of their poses and going, oh, I hope nobody ever sees me like that. That would be awful. But then I started thinking, I'm like, do they stand like that because they're successful? Or are they successful because they stand like that? I became very curious. So one day I heard about a body language show, just like this. And I got online and I signed my husband up for it. I was not going to go. He had to go and get the information and bring it back to me because there would be people there. And I didn't like people. So I said, you go to the body language show. Problem was, when he came home from the class, he found me on the couch under a blanket. And he lifted up the blanket and he goes, guess what, Ann? I signed you up for a class. And I was like, go away. I don't like you anymore. He goes, no, Ann, it's called Master Your Influence. Who's been to it? Awesome. It's called Master Your Influence. You're going to go learn about communication and body language. Because that's what I wanted, right? And I was like, fine, go to the class about body language. Go. Watch my body language as I go into the class. And I sat in the back row. And I thought, go ahead, try and teach me something. Because in my head it was like, I don't need to change. It's everybody else that's mean. They're the problem. And I was pointing fingers inside my head. But as I sat there in that class and got clear on this concept, that when you send a conflicting message between your words and your body language, people discount what you say to believe what they see. They discount the words to believe the body language. And I thought, seriously? Because that's the problem. But when we understand a problem, now listen to this. When we really understand a problem, we now have opportunity because now we can overcome the problem. People all the time are saying things like, I want to avoid problems. We don't need to avoid them. We need to understand them. Because as soon as we understand the problem, we now have opportunity to overcome the problem and get past it. But instead, we spend all this time trying to avoid it and not look at it and pretend it's not there. And that's what I was doing in this class, was trying to pretend that my problems weren't there. I wanted to point fingers that the problem was somewhere else. But when I got clear on what this problem was, I was curious. I'm like, what will happen if I change my body language? So I went home from this class and I adjusted my body language. And I immediately, how fast? Thank you, 6 of you. I immediately got new results. And so then I got mad. Because who here's stubborn? Yeah, and you that wouldn't raise your hands, you're the real stubborn people. So the stubborn in me kicked in because I'm like, wait a second. If body language has this much power, how come nobody taught me about it in school? You guys, I graduated with an engineering degree. And you know what they made me take every year? English. I learned how to diagram sentences. Isn't that useful? Don't you use that every day, right? because we got to make sure that it goes on the right slanted line under the right horizontal line. And then if I could put the word there, I mean, not to, well, yeah, I'm dissing it a little bit, but not to say that there's no value there. But why do we spend so much time on that and we don't teach people how to communicate? So that's where my stubborn kicked in. I'm like, really? Fine. Then I'm going to change my career. And I'm going to go from doing cool things like blowing things up and designing flight simulators to scary things like standing up in front of groups of people and telling them about their body language. I'm going to do that because I want to be able to help people change their results. Because for me, I had these results that were happening in my life and I did not like them. But when I started putting into practice, now do you hear that part? You have to put it into practice. When I started putting into practice what I learned about body language, it changed my relationships. It changed my results. It changed my ability to interact with people. And so I want to take and give people the same shortcuts that took me from a place that my kids would come home from school and they would say, Mom, there's an activity at school tonight. Can Dad take us? And I'm like, moms aren't invited? And they're like, just not my mom. And I'm like, okay. To now in my life, my kids are glad to tell people who their mom is, to where our relationships are better than they've ever been. Tomorrow, well actually, the next day, the 29th, is my anniversary. And I'll be married 26 years. And we're now the happiest we've ever been because I learned about me. I learned about my communication. And so that's what I want to share with you while you're here today. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you in for this?
Yes.
So what if I ask you to be uncomfortable? Are you still in?
Yes.
That was quieter. Fascinating. Here's the problem. In order to have this different result, if I adjust my body language, at first it will be uncomfortable. One of the reasons I have the body language I have is because it feels natural. For me, my natural body language in the past was to keep my arms folded. It was a very protective move for me. Now, folding your arms doesn't always mean protection, but for me, that's what it was. I was very scared of people. And so I remember as soon as I would get out of my car, before I would walk in anywhere, I would immediately fold my arms. Now, let's just play. Can we play?
Yes.
So if you see somebody folding their arms, what does it mean? What does it look like?
Stay away.
Stay away. I'm mad. What else? I'm cold. Yeah, for sure. I'm being reverent. Maybe I spilled something on my shirt and I'm hiding it. There can be lots of reasons that people will fold their arms. But notice the first ones that you mentioned were offish or mad. I was folding my arms because in my mind I was protecting myself. But the message it was sending was that I was defensive or mad. So I can send off a different message than the reason I think I am doing the body language. Okay, so I'm jumping right into this. Are we okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so there can be a discrepancy. There can be a discrepancy between why I think I have body language and the message that I'm sending to the people around me. So I thought I was being protective. I would walk into the school, for example, and people would see me as defensive. Now the problem is, this now triggered in them the feelings of, well, why is she being defensive? Does she think that I am attacking? And so then people would also get defensive. And two defensive people cause friction. Friction comes up between two people who are both sending messages that they didn't mean to send. So now I was causing friction with people around me, and I couldn't figure out what was their problem. But it wasn't that I had to figure out their problem. I had to figure out what I could do to adjust. I needed to understand me better. So when I ask you to change your body language, it might be uncomfortable at first. It will be uncomfortable. Because if any of you have listened to my bucket list CD, I talk about what I had to do to be able to get out of my comfort zone. Because my comfort zone was so safe to me, I wouldn't budge out of it. And so when I learned I needed to unfold my arms, because neutral position for hands is actually down here by your sides. Doesn't mean you should walk around like this. That would be weird. But neutral position is to let your hands be open. Oh, that felt so weird to me. I was like, no, there's no way. Folding my arms feels comfortable. Opening my arms, oh, scary. And you'll hear people say, well, I can't put my hands down here. They just dangle there. I have nothing to do with them. It doesn't look awkward, even if it feels awkward. So I'm going to ask you to get outside your comfort zone by adjusting your body language. So everybody play with me. Fold your arms. Fold your arms for me. Okay? Now, look down, and here's the quiz. Which arm is on top? The correct answer is either the left or the right. Did you get it? Hey, good job. So now unfold your arms and fold them back with the other arm on top. How does that feel? Some of you are like, yeah, it's weird, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. Hold that feeling for me for a minute. In science, they call what you're feeling right here cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance states that your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. In other words, what you are feeling here is your body language sending a message to your subconscious. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But this uncomfortable is actually a good thing because it's showing you, it's proving to you that you are doing something different. And in order to have a new result, we have to have new behavior. So that feeling, you want to get used to labeling it as a good thing instead of a bad thing, because you're adjusting and upgrading. It's adjusting and upgrading. What is it?
Adjusting and upgrading.
Okay, one more time. What is it?
Adjusting and upgrading.
All right, awesome. You can unfold your arms now. But that is what I'm going to ask. It doesn't mean getting out of your comfort zone has to be scary. Getting out of your comfort zone can just be uncomfortable, and we label it different. Because notice, when you guys folded your arms the other way, did you hear what happened in the room? What happened? What happened? It was giggling. There was a lot of giggling that happened. Did you notice? So here's the funny thing. People think that getting out of their comfort zone will be painful. But yet, when I ask people to get out of their comfort zone, the most common reaction is a giggle. And so why do we say that it's painful when the most common reaction is to laugh? Maybe we just have a preconceived notion about how it works, and it's time to adjust and upgrade. So that's what we're going to do today, adjust and upgrade. Cool? Yeah. All right. So the other thing that I'm probably going to ask for is volunteers. Most of you quit breathing on that one. So in order to have a safe place for volunteers, I'm going to set up 3 rules for this class. Because every 3 key elements class, we have the same 3 rules. The first rule is, who knows what it is? High levels of respect. So please tell the person next to you, I will respect you till lunchtime.
I will respect you until lunchtime.
And the one on the other side, I will respect you till lunchtime. Now, because after that, you're out of my jurisdiction. But between now and then, high levels of Respect. Rule number 2 is, who remembers? It is to be present. That means be willing to ask questions when it's time for questions. It means be willing to guess when I ask questions that you don't know the answer to, because that'll push you past your old programming. Because there was always that one experience in elementary school where somebody answered wrong. They guessed an answer and they were wrong, and you're like, oh, I will never do that because that was not good. Okay, let's get out of that because we're no longer in 3rd grade. Checking. Yep, we're no longer in 3rd grade. So let's not behave as if 3rd grade runs our life. When I ask if there's volunteers, I highly recommend you use this body language. Me, pick me. Okay, let's try it. I won't pick any of you, but just for fun, let's practice it. Okay, ready? Are there any volunteers? Me! Now see, wasn't that fun? Over there, they're volunteering each other. Her, pick her. So the thing is we got to push past that comfort zone and notice all the giggling. Everywhere I go, you guys, the most common reaction to get out of a comfort zone is smiling and laughing. And yet we hide in our comfort zones. So today, for the next 2 hours, let's play outside our comfort zone. Cool? Yeah. And it's fun, right? Mm-hmm. What's the word? Fun. It's fun. Okay, so rule number 3 is... Yeah, that would be a good rule. It's fun. But rule number 3 is manage your communication device. Means make sure your cell phone's on silent. It means keep your questions for when it's time for questions, but when it's time, ask your question. It means also be careful with the communication device, like your elbow, like, oh, you should listen to this. Or the communication device of, here, let me volunteer my friend. So we're going to be careful with our communication devices. So 3 rules. Rule number 1, high levels of respect. Rule number 2, be present. And rule number 3 is excellent. Everyone who will abide by these rules, please raise your hand. And leave them up so I can see who I have agreement from. All right, excellent. Okay, big round of applause for having rules. Okay, so now what we get to do is we get to have fun while we learn something. I wish all teachers understood this concept. We actually will hold on to more information when we have a little bit of fun learning it. So if you can't tell, I do like to have fun. So I hope that was part of your plan this morning, was to be able to have fun. Because that way we retain the information better. Both of my parents are educators. My mom, well, they're both retired now, but my mom taught kindergarten and my dad taught university. So they were the bookends. They actually had some of the same kids that they both taught. My mom taught them in kindergarten, and then a few years later, my dad taught them at the university. And so I love teachers dearly. And I have had a few teachers that were painful to be learning from. So I just want you to know, I understand you have a left side and a right side of your brain. And so pictures and words both matter. And so does having a little fun along the way. So let's start with part 2 here. Does everybody have a writing utensil? Does anybody need a pen to be able to take notes? If you need a pen, we'll have these guys get them. Are we good? All right. Way to be prepared, you guys. Awesome. So what I'm going to do is I am going to read 2 of the blanks on part 2. And when you have them filled in, say, got it, and I'll know it's time to go on. Got it? Got it. Excellent. Reading body language is a skill to find answers and solutions. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. Just don't ask me how to spell it. You can graduate from college and not know how to spell. Okay, when I see movement, the next step is to ask good questions. Ask good questions. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it this way. This will work. All right. Here is a cute person. Say, aw. Here's a cute person. Cute people, actually all people, they have eyes. And eyes are a big piece of our communication when it comes to body language. In fact, your eyes are connected to memory and to parts of your brain. And so our eyes are actually used to help access different information inside of our brain. Have you ever asked a kid a question and they looked like all over the place before they answered you? Have you ever noticed that? People will look places before they answer you because looking helps them access different kinds of information inside of their brain. So when it comes to communication and body language, if I see somebody move their eyes, because I'm going to teach you the different categories of movement of the eyes, but if I see somebody move their eyes before they answer me, and I make a judgment about them, I am going to miss a big part of the information. So this is why the very first thing that I had you write down is when you're watching body language, it is giving you indicators. It will help you find answers and solutions, but don't make judgments. Ask questions. Ask better questions. Because like the arms that we talked about a minute ago, if I see somebody standing like this, how am I going to know what their reason is for standing this way? What am I going to do? Ask what kind of questions? What kind does it say on your paper? What kind? Good questions. Is this a good question? Why are you so standoffish? No, because that's an ungood question. That's a word, I made it up. An ungood question pushes people away and breaks rapport. But if I asked a question like, is it cold in here to you? And they're like, yes, it's cold in here. Then you now know the answer. But you didn't pass judgment. You asked a question. Because here's what I notice. If you guys have not followed me on Facebook, I highly recommend it. I have been doing trainings out there on Facebook every week for a year. And if you've been following me and you haven't been seeing them, come talk to me and I'll tell you what Facebook did and how you can fix it. But what's going on is I see people all the time glossing over things. For example, they just make a quick judgment about something and then they jump to the next thing and they make assumptions about what they have seen or communicated with somebody. When we make assumptions and judgments, we actually increase the miscommunication. And so if we'll slow down just a little bit, if we'll turn our speed dial down just a little and not judge, but ask questions, we actually will access a shortcut. Body language is a shortcut because it helps us avoid the miscommunication. So if I teach you body language and all you do is use that to judge people, then we've missed the whole point. Does this make sense? So we got to, this side of the room, okay, we'll teach you guys. So we got to avoid the judgment so that we can get the whole message. So now on eyes, when somebody looks, so we'll make a line down the middle here and a line this way. When somebody looks up and to their, we'll label this. This is their left and their right. When somebody looks up and to the left before they answer you, they're accessing the left side of the brain. And what does the left side of the brain have to do with? Do you know? The logical, the facts side of the brain. So over here, this is logic. It's facts. It's numbers. It is step-by-step instructions. Step by step. This is what the left side of the brain looks like. So if you ask somebody a question and they look up to the left, they've accessed that logical kind of information. Well, what about if they look up and to the right before they answer? What kind of information are they accessing? It's more emotional. It is the big picture. It is creative. This is why you got to be careful out in the body language world. There's some people that teach that this move always means this. And one of the things they like to say is if somebody looks up and to the right before they answer, they're always lying. It's not true. They're not always lying. They are accessing the creative side of their mind, which is why they came up with that reasoning, that they're creating an answer. But it's not always the reason that they looked up to the right. They just might have been looking at the big picture, and instead of the step by step, they're looking at the whole solution together. And so up and to the right has creation in it, but it does not always mean lying. That's why you got to be careful with that judgment thing again. Because if you judge that somebody looking up to the right's lying, you're going to quickly think that everyone's lying to you. Because people look up to the right for different reasons. For example, if I am a real estate agent and I'm showing a couple a home, and afterwards I say, what do you think of this home? We're standing outside and we're looking at the home. What do you think of this home? And they look up and to the right. Does that automatically mean they're creating and making up an answer? What could it mean? What could they be thinking about? They might be looking at the big picture and seeing themselves in that home. Absolutely. What else could be going on? Say it louder.
Creating finance to afford that home.
Creating finance. So that usually will be up and to the left because money is more over up and to the left. But if they're trying to see the big solution, then it can still be up and to the right. So do you see, it's not always that they are lying about something. It can be that they're trying to see the solution. So up and to the right is these kinds of things. Well, now, what about if somebody looks straight to the side over here or over here? I like to put ears on it here because it's like they're looking right at their ears. That one ear is way farther out than the other one. But if somebody looks straight to the side when you ask them a question, what do you think they're doing? Listening to what? What kind of voices? Ones in their head that came from where?
I would think all the negative stuff or they're rehearsing whatever they've heard before.
Okay, so what she said, because people online won't be able to hear you, I'll repeat it. What she said was they're rehearsing things that they've heard before. So when people look straight to the side, they're listening to something that they have heard. Maybe somebody has told it to them. It also it can be something that they've read. Because when we read something online or in a book, do you remember what those are? They have like paper and they're bound on the sides. Sometimes people still read those. But when people read something, when they're recalling it, they often recall it by looking at their ears. So for example, if one of my children, I'll tell my children when they're taking a test, If they can't remember one of the answers, I'll tell them, look straight to the side to help them recall the teacher explaining it to them. Does that make sense? Because the teacher might have explained it up at the whiteboard, and if they'll look to the side, it can help recall the information that they're looking for. So you can't, eyes aren't just good for watching other people's eyes, they're good for using them for yourself. It can help recall information. And I tell my kids, if that didn't work, they didn't find it there, look up to the left. Because the left, the up and to the left, this is the past. This is past things. And up and to the right, this is future. Hasn't happened, creating it, has happened, past. So when somebody looks straight to the side, they're listening to something that someone has told them. So for example, let's say I'm a car salesman and I have a gentleman come to the showroom and I ask him, what kind of car do you want to look at? And he looks straight to the side. What's probably going on? He's probably listening to his wife. Somebody has had an opinion on what kind of car he should be getting. And so he's looking straight to the side. So if I see that, I can build rapport with him by asking the right kinds of questions. I can ask things like, so is there someone in your life that has an opinion on what kind of car you're going to get? And they'll be like, oh yeah, my dad thinks I should get this, my sister thinks I should get this, my wife thinks I should get this. But now they'll feel understood because I paid attention to their eyes and asked the right kind of question. Isn't that cool how that works, you guys? So that when somebody looks straight to the side, they're listening. They're listening. Now, is everything that we hear always good? So can we be listening to negative things as well? Absolutely. And so sometimes when people look straight to the side, they've heard something negative, and it can be from way in the past. For example, has anybody here ever been to a crazy place called elementary school or junior high? Anybody been to that one? Oh, junior high. We all want to go back there, right? No takers? Oh, so in junior high, we might have other kids that have said something to us that sticks with us. Or in elementary school, we might have had a teacher that said something to us that really stuck with us. And we might be listening to that over and over and over again. And so if you will actually pay attention to you and notice when you look to the side for your answer and check in, what or who am I listening to? You will actually be able to change your results faster because you'll notice who is having who. All right, I'm in mentor mode because I mentored all day yesterday. So I'm kind of jumping into mentoring. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
And mentoring just means I give you skills that you can use for yourself to improve your results. And so here's the thing. If you'll pay attention to when you're looking to the side and ask yourself, who am I listening to? You will find out who you have given authority in your head over your thoughts and your life. So let me say that one more time. If you'll pay attention to when you are looking straight to the side when you're coming up with answers, you will figure out who you have given authority to inside of your head, who you are looking to as an authority. And if you don't like who you find, it's time to fire them and hire a new authority, because you get to choose. Every one of you has the right to choose who the authorities are in your own head. But if we don't pay attention, then there will be authorities there and we may not like who they are. So pay attention to who you find that's giving you advice and decide, do you want them to be influencing you? Or do you want to fire them and choose somebody else? Is this too deep? 3 of you, okay. So let me just add this piece to it really quick, and then you can ask your question. Okay, you can ask your question first.
Probably out of the scope, but how do you fire that person?
Oh, you do it like this. You're fired. Seriously. Oh, so here's what I'll add. The problem is sometimes we'll find out that an authority that isn't serving us is somebody that's still important to us, like a parent. And we'll grow up and it's like, "Oh, my parents keep talking to me." And maybe what they're telling you isn't benefiting your results. You can fire them without having them leave your life. They can still be part of your life. They are just not sitting at your table to influence you. Does that make sense? So here's one of the things, what's your name? Candace. Since Candace asked, can I answer this question? Are you guys okay with that? So here's what I would suggest you do, Candace, is you get out a piece of paper and you draw yourself a conference table on the paper. Just because if somebody is sitting in council, they will sit at the head of their table and they will have people who sit around their table to consult with. So this is your conference room table. And you put yourself at the head of the table. And then as you find people that are influencing you in your head that you're noticing, you put their name on one of these seats. And then is this okay if we go this way? All right. So I just have to watch everybody and how they're receiving these things. So you put their name, okay? And then under their name, you put what the counsel is that they're giving you. What is the message, the main messages that they're sending you? So you put their name and the main message. And then the next person and the next person. And when you find one that you don't like, the message, then you tell them, "Thank you for the influence you've had in my life. I am now at a place where I need somebody else to sit in this place." And you tell them, "You are no longer welcome at my table." And you have them leave. You take them, you erase them from your table. But you now have to choose someone to put in their place, because otherwise they'll come right back to their seat. So then you choose somebody else. Whoever it is, you choose who you want at your table. And you write their name and the message that they will bring with them to that table. So I might have at my table of influence, I might have historical figures who had really good messages in history that I want to have there. I might have a religious leader. I might have a mentor in my life. I might have a parent who sends good messages. But the thing is, you get to choose who is at your table. If you don't, someone will just sit there. The seats will not stay empty. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay, anybody else learn from that? All right, big round of applause for Candace. Thank you, Candace. So you can call that your table of influence, is what we call it.
Just to clarify, we're not really telling our mom she's not influencing.
Okay, I'm really glad you brought that up. You do not call your mom and say, "Mom, you are no longer welcome at my table," okay? None of that. Thank you for clarifying. This is only for you. And you can say it out loud with no one around. But you're not calling them and telling them, "You know what? You no longer get to influence me." There's no need. Because that's not what we want to use this for. We want to use this to build rapport and increase connection, not break rapport and push people away, because that'll cause other problems and we'll need other mentoring tools. So this is only for us. So thank you for clarifying that. Excellent. Any other questions on this piece? Yes?
Judgment and blank increases misunderstanding. Do you remember what that second word was?
Did somebody else get that?
Indicators.
Oh, right, yeah. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, any other questions? All right, shall we move to the next part? Yes?
Yes.
Here, let's try it one more time. Should we move to the next part? Yes? Awesome. Okay, so looking straight to the side, looking. God, I get to make up words today. This is listening, and we talked about the table of influence. The other main place that people will look is straight down. And when somebody looks straight down, they are accessing their emotions. Emotions are, our body is a recording device, and one of the things that it records is emotions. When we have, one of the things that I mentor people on is how to access the emotions that they've stored inside themselves. Because we grow up in a world where we're told, don't be fill in the blank. Don't be sad. Don't be angry. Don't be. We're told that the emotion is part of who we are. And so now we don't want to feel it, which would mean it would flow. So we stuff it down inside of us. And it gets trapped somewhere in us. So when you ask somebody a question and they look straight down, they're accessing some emotion that is around the answer that they're trying to give. So the best thing that we can do when we see somebody looking down is to be patient and wait for them to finish finding their answer. Because what we tend to do is try to save each other from our emotions. Because we've all been little kids once. Anybody here was ever a little kid? Okay, so we were all kids once, so we all experienced the things that happen as a little kid. Okay, some of the people up here are really shivering. Can you check the temperature for me? Okay, because they're shivering in their coats and gloves, so I'm like, okay, I better, thank you very much. So okay, where was I? Oh, yes, we try to save each other from our emotions because we know what it felt like to be that little kid and to be told, you can't be angry, you can't be sad, you can't be whatever. And so we try to save each other from our emotions. So when we see somebody looking down, we try to hurry and get them look back up. And we don't even realize we do it. I see it everywhere I go. Somebody will be looking down and they'll make a joke, they'll make a comment, they'll ask a question, anything to get them to hurry and look back up, which I find very interesting. Because the reality is, if we'll be patient and let somebody look down long enough to find their answer, the longer they look down, the deeper the emotion that they're accessing. And if we'll be patient and wait for them to come back with the answer, we'll actually build rapport with them better because we're showing that we will be patient and caring about their emotion, and they'll feel safer to share the answer, which is a pretty cool concept, you guys. So when somebody looks straight down, they're accessing emotion. Now, it doesn't mean that they will always cry when they give you the answer, because that's another thing that we fear. It's like, oh no, if they cry, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to handle their emotions. And so we fear their answer because we're afraid they will cry with it. Not always the case. I've had some people that I've worked with that they look down for a long time, and when they look back up, they don't cry. Doesn't mean they didn't find an emotional answer, but there's no tears with it. But I can still use emotion type of language as I talk to them because I know that there was emotion in the answer that they were looking at. Does that make sense? Yes. This is just kind of a deeper class. I promise we don't always have to go this deep, but we're good with it, yes?
Yes.
Okay, phew. All right, so one last one that I want to show you here is when somebody looks straight up. When they look straight up, they're looking for an answer that's outside of themselves. They're looking outside of self for the answer. Have you ever seen somebody do this? Have you ever seen somebody do that where they just kind of look up? Have you ever seen a kid do that? So my mom, I told you, she taught kindergarten for decades. And one of the things that I found fascinating was with kindergarten kids, when you ask them a question, like a simple kindergarten type question, like, what's 2 plus 2? Well, you then watch their eyes for where they look to try to put that together. And sometimes they'll look to the ears, because what are they doing? Recalling the information. Sometimes they'll look up to the left because they're looking at past and the numbers are stored there. Sometimes they'll look straight down because why? Because they got it wrong before. It's scary. There's some emotion that's going on with trying to learn something new. They are embarrassed because they can't remember the answer. What if they look straight up? They haven't a clue. That it didn't stick when they learned it. It wasn't there. So you can wait all day and they'll be like, I don't know. Help me, save me. So when somebody looks straight up, it's because they're trying to find an answer either that they don't have, or they're trying to get a deeper understanding of an answer. Because sometimes I will know a certain level of an answer and I'll catch myself looking up because I'm trying to understand more connection about the answer. Because that's what we do as humans, is we build neural pathways which connect information. And so sometimes I'll catch myself looking up for that reason. It's not that I don't know an answer, it's that I want to understand a deeper level of the answer, which sometimes can be anti-intuitive. It's like, why are you looking up for deeper? Well, because it's outside of myself. Does that make sense? So one day when my son was in 3rd grade, he comes home from school and I asked him a really kind of a common question that you ask kids when they come home from school. What do you think it was? How was your day? I asked him, how was his day? Where should I expect him to look before he answers me? Should I expect him to look anywhere? Can you answer a question without looking? Yes. Why would you be able to answer a question without looking? Okay. Confidence, present. There's a couple of reasons why you can answer a question without looking. One is that the answer is so ready that you've used it so many times that it's just right there. You don't have to access anything. Because like when I'm talking, I don't have to look someplace to remember words. But last week when I was in Mexico with my son, I speak French and I speak English. So I'm trying to learn Spanish. So last week when I was in Mexico and I would try to talk to somebody, there was a lot of looking because I'm trying to put the sentences together. I'm trying to conjugate the words. So there was a lot of looking. But here as I'm talking to you, I don't have to look every time I speak because it's right there. I've used the words before. But if in the middle of talking to you, I'm like, what would be the word for? Then I'll look somewhere because I'm trying to get that word. So one of the reasons we won't look anywhere is because the answer is already at the ready. Another reason I won't look is because I'm in a class about eyes and I'm very conscious that everyone's looking at my eyes, so I will purposely not look anywhere. But the funny thing about that is I was actually asked to come and do a training. This was kind of funny actually, because it was a training for Union Pacific Railroad for all their engineers. I thought that was funny because I was never going to be an engineer. Now I'm training them. So I'm in this room and there was probably 60 engineers in there, and I had somebody come up to the top front and I was talking about eyes. And I asked him a question and he stood there and he went, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, because you won't let your eyes move. And he goes, oh, I know the answer. And I was like, that's right. Sometimes we will hold our eyes still and then we don't get to access our own information, our own answers. So people will not move their eyes because their answer is at the ready, because they're trying not to let their eyes move. And the third reason is because there isn't any thought to the answer. Because when you ask a kid, how was your day? Or when you pass somebody in the grocery store and they say, hey, how you doing? Do you think they really want the answer? Or do they just want to hear, fine? So the third reason why people won't look is because they don't think there's any need to actually find the answer. So they're just going through rote responses. And so when you ask a kid, how was your day? They may not move their eyes because they're going to just say, good, or fine, whatever. Or, I have 4 boys, it might just be, It's not even a real word, it's just a grunt, Oh, okay, good to know. See ya at dinner, So those are the reasons why people won't move their eyes. Well, my son comes home and he comes in the house and I ask him, how was your day? He looks straight to the side and then he looks at me and says, it was good. Is there a discrepancy there? How come? He looked to the side, which means what? He's listening. And so I'm like, why did he have to check in with listening to somebody to tell me how his day was? So now what I should do is stop him and say, you look to the side. Who are you listening to? No? Okay, what should I do? Ask what kind of questions? Good questions. So a good question is not an accosting or a challenging one. A good question is an information finding one. So my brain, I said, okay, let's see. What did he do at school today? How can I find out? Because when you find that there's something going on, we've got to narrow it down to where it's going on. So I knew he'd listened to something somewhere at school. So I'm thinking, where do kids have something said to them at school? I'm like, everywhere. But where? Recess. That's where my brain went. It's like recess. Okay, what did the kids say? And so I asked him, I said, hey, how was break today? How was lunch? He looked up to the left and he said, lunch was good. I played with my friend Jonas. Okay, so did I find the answer yet? So what should I do next? Ask another good question. So I'm like, all right, it wasn't at recess. Well, what else happens at school?
What's his worst subject?
Yeah, that's where I went next. What's his worst subject? And so I didn't think what's his worst. I just went, what's the most struggling subject? Yeah. And so I said, math is what I thought. I was like, oh, math. So I asked him, I said, hey, how was math class today? Where should I expect him to look? He could look anywhere, but the numbers place is up here to the left. And so I'm like, all right, I'm watching him. And he looks up to the left and he goes, math was great today, Mom. And he goes, you know what? I'm one of the best kids in the class at math. And I was like, awesome. Did I find the answer yet? No. Should I quit because I found a good one? No. So now I got to ask him another question. So I got to check in, what's another subject at school? So I'm like, all right, what else do they do at school? They do English. They do reading. And so I asked him, I said, Jake, how was reading class today? He looked straight to the side, and then he looked down. Did I find it?
Yes.
So what should I do? Hurry, Jake, tell me.
No, wait.
Wait. He's looking down. So I'm like, okay, I will wait. And he tested me on this one because he's looking down. And he looks up and he goes, oh, shoot, she's still looking. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there kind of neutral. I'm not grinning or intense. I'm just waiting. And he does it again. Oh, crap, she's still looking. Because I think he was hoping I would just give up and not listen anymore. And so he did it 3 times. He looks up and he's like, and then he does this. What does that mean? Submission. It means, okay, fine, I'll tell you. And he looks up and he has a tear in his eye and he goes, Mom, the reading teacher told me I'm the dumbest reader in the class. And I was afraid if I told you, you'd be mad at me for being stupid. Did I find it? Yeah. So now what should I do? Yeah, but first I got a kid sitting in front of me. Can't talk to the teacher yet. That's on the back burner. That's going to happen. But right now I've got a kid in front of me. And right now I got to save him 20 years of therapy. So I got to do something right now. So what could I do? What's that? Reassure him. But I'm thinking, how can I reassure him? Because I can't just say, oh, I wasn't going to be mad at you for being stupid. That wasn't going to work. So I'm like, okay. And I'm actually with my eyes, what do I do? What do I do? So I'm thinking, all right, what could I do? And I put together the two pieces that he just told me. I'm the best in the class at math. I'm the dumbest reader. And so I said, Jake, who reads your math test to you? And now he's looking at me like, what? Are you crazy, Mom? I have to read my own math test. So then I said, well, tell me, how can you be the best in math if you read your own test, if you're the worst reader in the class? So then he did this. He went, yeah. He looked everywhere. It was awesome. He looked everywhere. And then he's like, yeah. Can I go play now? I was like, yes, I'm going on a field trip to the school. But see, because I watched his eyes and I asked questions, we were able to have a different discussion than if I would have just given in when he came home and said, it was fine. So just to put your mind at ease, I went to the school, and it wasn't the teacher, it was a volunteer that was reading with the kids that day. And she wasn't asked to come back and read with the kids again. But I wouldn't have found that because this particular kid is my least talky kid. Still is. Now he's a teenager. Least talky kid. I would not have found that unless I paid attention to the eyes and then asked good questions. That's one of the powers of eyes right there, is our ability to ask questions. Is that cool? Yes. You guys are like ninja people now because you know this, and most of the world doesn't know this. They don't know this kind of thing. But let's talk for a minute about why your subconscious is doing what it's doing with your body language. So turn to your stick figure that's under part 3 for a minute. Because inside your head, you have a conscious and a subconscious. Is this true? Yes. Absolutely. Did you bring both of yours with you? Yes. See, we're smart people. But which one handles more information, the conscious or the subconscious?
Subconscious.
The subconscious. Well, then I always wonder, how much more? Well, studies show that our conscious mind can process. So remember, I have an engineering background, so I tend to talk a little science-y sometimes, but it won't be too deep, don't worry. But like when I did my TED Talk, I likened this to a computer. Our subconscious and conscious are kind of like using our computer. Our conscious mind can process approximately 20 to 40 pieces of information every single second. That's a lot. Our brains are pretty dang fast. Guess how many our subconscious will process in that same amount of time? The keyword was guess. Good guesses. What was that? 100. I like a lot. What was that? 50,000, 1,000, 30,000. Excellent guesses. They're all wrong, but they're excellent guesses. It's okay, because that's what a guess is. A guess can be wrong. Because, okay, I'm just going to go there. Because when you guess, you actually open yourself up to learn the answer. Because if I just give you the answer, 3 of you on average will remember it. But if you guess first, it increases the number of people who will remember the answer. Isn't that cool? So if you remember that, next time you're learning something, if you'll guess, you actually will open yourself up to the answer. Your subconscious, on average, will process approximately 40 million pieces of information. 40 million. So now who's going to remember that? Anybody? Awesome. See? Now, here's where the computer part comes in. In order to process 40 million pieces of information every single second, your subconscious behaves like a computer. In other words, your subconscious has programs that it runs that information through. Because if your conscious ran through 40 million pieces of information every single second, you would have fried circuits. You would have overload. Can you imagine having to think that many things in a second? It'd be like, oh. So in order to know what is usable, what you actually want, your subconscious creates programs. It creates them. It creates the programs so that it knows what out of the 40 million pieces you want to have. Because otherwise, it wants to give you it all, and your conscious goes, I can't, I have a headache, I can't even function. Too much information. We go into overload. So what we have to do is we have to have programs. Now, here's another problem that we run into with computers. I have a phone somewhere in the building. I have a phone and a computer, both of which have to go into the Apple doctor right after this class today because they are having issues. And one of the things that they're having issues with is their programs. But I can't get this program fixed. It needs to be upgraded. The program needs to be upgraded. Do you think our subconscious ever has programs that need to be upgraded? Yeah. Well, here's how we know. Guess where the majority of your programs came from? Your childhood. Wahoo! Oh, I was the only wahoo on that one, huh? Well, aren't you so thrilled that that one program that you got from when you were 5 years old is making decisions in your marriage as an adult? You don't like that one? What about that program from when you were 7? Like my program from when I was, I was in 5th grade, and I had a paper route, and I had to go collect the money from every house. And I went to this one house, and every month when I had to go collect this money, I would go sit out in front of that house. It was a trailer for an hour because I was so scared to knock on that door. Because usually, I was too young to know this. Now as an adult, I look back and I know what was going on. Usually, he was really drunk. But I didn't know that as a kid. I didn't know that's what was going on. He was just really mean and would spit a lot. And he would yell at me and tell me how dare I ask him for money. That was an awful thing that I was doing. So I got this program about money. So awesome, this program. And it is making decisions for me as an adult in my finances. Isn't that good? So you think there could be a need for upgrades to our programs?
Yeah.
Just a little, right? But it's like, how do I upgrade? Where's the upgrade button? Because my phone comes up and says, hey, there's a software update available. You want to install it? And I get to say, yes, and hurry. But how often do you wake up in the morning and there's a message on your nightstand that says, hey, your subconscious has an upgrade available. Would you like to install it today?
That'd be amazing.
Wouldn't that be nice? I think I should make those. I should make cards and print them out that say software update available and say, here, place this on your nightstand, read it in the morning. And then you read it and it was like, oh, yay! I get to upgrade my programming. So who here would like an upgrade? All right, smart people. Oh my gosh, did you guys online, you want an upgrade? Because I am going to show you where the upgrade comes from. Because here we go, we have these 40 million pieces of information. So I have programs, and I'm just going to draw it this way. A program, because it repeats over and over and over again. Those programs, here's another important piece to know. Your subconscious will defend your programs. It does not care if the program is good for your results or not. It will defend the program. Wait a second, that's not fair. Why will it defend a program that's bad for me? Because your subconscious wants to do two things. It wants to keep you alive and comfortable. So if the program won't kill you and it's familiar, your subconscious defends the program. And here's how it defends the program. I'm going into mentoring again, so just get ready. Your subconscious wants evidence that the program is valid. Now, the problem is we usually call it true. We say the program is true because I have evidence. Well, my subconscious was not worried about whether the program was true or not. It just wanted to know that it was valid, is the word I'm going to use. So my subconscious is building up evidence. Every program inside my subconscious, so I'm going to just draw it this way. Brand new diagram. It's like I have filing cabinet drawers inside of my subconscious. And each of these drawers is for one of my programs. So here's this program, here's this program, here's this program. Every one of these programs has its own filing cabinet drawer inside of my head. And inside that filing cabinet drawer, I am putting evidence. And that evidence comes from experiences and interactions with the people around me, or with resources, or with my life. I have experiences and interactions with people around me. And my subconscious is looking for things it can grab and put into the evidence drawer. So now, here's what happens. My subconscious says, I have a program. We'll just go with one of Anne's old programs. I had a program that said, people don't like me. That was my program. People don't like me. Now, whether that's true or not didn't matter. What mattered was that I had validating evidence for it. So my subconscious said, okay, Anne's program is people don't like her. Okay, is that a safe program? Sure. It doesn't kill me because it keeps people away from me. So I push people away. I'm safe. Good program. All right, so it passes the first test. It won't kill me. Second test, is it comfortable, or in other words, familiar? If it's familiar, oh yeah, Anne's been living with that program for a long time. Very familiar. Okay, passes the two tests. So now what the subconscious says is, all right, now what I need is validating evidence, and I can keep running that program because it doesn't kill me, it's familiar, I need some validating evidence. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. This is my subconscious now. I'm going to send a message out to people around Anne. I'm going to basically ping them like a dolphin would, or a bat, but dolphins are cuter. And the dolphin sends out echolocation, right? And the sonar bounces off and comes back. Well, my subconscious says, all right, I need to see if it's true that people don't like Anne. So I'm going to send out messages in her body language that people will pick up on. And then based on how they respond to the message, I'll know whether this is a valid program. Okay, did I go too deep? Is this making sense? Anybody going, oh, this is why things happen in my life? Are you following me so far? So now what's going on is this. Look, your subconscious And this is the answers to part 3 in your handout. One of the things your subconscious does is while you're talking to someone, your subconscious chooses the words you're going to speak before you speak them, based on the programs that are in your head. So on average, my subconscious will choose 650 words every minute for me to speak. 650. Can any of you speak 650 words a minute? No, none of us can. Even the little disclaimer little dudes at the end of the radio station, they're only like 300 words a minute or something. I can't remember. I saw what the record was, but it was not 650. So when I get ready to talk, I have to choose some of these words to speak. So they get filtered. They get filtered down to, on average, 150 words. They get filtered down to that. Now, how do we filter them? It's a conscious filter. So we will filter the words based on the people in the room, whether it's politically correct, whether it's nice or not, whether there's kids in the back seat when somebody cuts you off on the freeway. We filter the words. It would be nice, some people have better filters than others, true? And sometimes we wish people would get better filters. But on average, we filter out 500 of those words every minute. But our subconscious wanted to send the message out so it could see if validating evidence would come back. So your subconscious isn't going to just let go of that message of those 500 words. Where is that message going to come out? In your body language. So it looks kind of like this. Your subconscious says, "Oh, I see you couldn't speak all those words that I prepared for you. So let me help you out, and I'll send the rest of it out in your body language." Yay! No! Ah! Wait a minute. I'm sending the rest of it out in my body language? But that means some of the words I held back weren't very nice, and they're coming out in my body language. Some of that message I would never say out loud, and it's coming out in my body language? Yep. So that's the bad news and the good news. Don't you love it when they're the same? You're like, no, I don't love that. What are you talking about? But here's why it's so cool, you guys. If there is a connection between your subconscious and your body language, if that's true, and are you starting to believe that's true? Yes. If that's true, it cannot be only a one-way connection. It also will have a connection from your body language back to your subconscious. It can't be only one way. So this is why it's the good news. If this is my cycle or my circuit, I can interrupt that circuit anywhere, and it will upgrade the program. It will upgrade it. In other words, look, my body language is in the middle of the circuit. What if, in the middle of sending a message out in my body language, I interrupt it and change the message? It will now send an upgraded message back to my subconscious. That validating evidence that I was looking for will now be different evidence. And my subconscious will go, wait a second, that doesn't match this program. I might need to change the program to match the evidence that's coming back. Because that's what your subconscious will do, is upgrade the program. So we can do either one. We can upgrade the program and it will change the body language. Or we can upgrade the body language and it will change the program. Can I get a wahoo? Wahoo! Isn't that cool? Yes. So I can either upgrade the program and it will change the body language, Or I can upgrade the body language and it will change the program. Or if you're really all crazy on me, you can do both. You can work on the program and the body language at the same time. So for example, I realized, well, let's see, which story do I want to tell you? Okay, so for example, I realized that when my kids would come home from school, my immediate response when they came home was, kids, tell me about your day. Remember the pushing thing? And I would push the kids away. But I was saying, tell me about your day. And the kids are getting a mixed message. There might be a reason we have a term for that in our world, right? The kids are getting a mixed message. Well, based on what we now know, which message are they going to pay more attention to? So should I be surprised that my kids didn't want to tell me about their day? Here, tell me about your day. Don't you want to talk to me? I wonder why. And so when I found this out, I was like, I've been pushing them away. Well, why am I pushing them away? Well, if you go out on my public Facebook page, I just posted a thing this week about why this particular thing would happen. And I don't have time to cover it here. I call it a lot on your plate. Have you ever heard somebody say, I have a lot on my plate? Well, I don't see anybody carrying plates around, so I'm pretty sure it's in your brain. But if you take your plate out and start looking what a lot is on your plate, the majority of it is emotional that we keep on our plate. Not even the things we have to do, it's the emotions. And my emotional plate was very full. So I was pushing my kids away because my plate was full. Even though I wanted my kids to talk to me, I was pushing them away. Does that make sense? So when I realized that, I was like, okay, I can interrupt the body language. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Oh, there's my kids. Kids, tell me. Wait a second. That's not what all right, hand. We decided we were going to do this differently. Okay, there we go. Kids, tell me about your day. And the kids are like, wait a second. And I'm like, I'm going to own this. So first day, it didn't do anything. Next day, all right, I'm like, okay, remember, we are upgrading the body language. Kids come in the house. Kids, tell me about your day. God, this feels awkward. Tell me about your day. The kids are like, Mom's weird. Okay. But it took 4 days. On the 4th day, I come to the door. Kids, tell me about your day. On the 4th day, I had 2 of my kids come sit at the counter and start telling me about their day. Because I changed the program. Dang it. That stubborn can be really good when we use it in the right way. And so I interrupted the message that was going out in my body language, got new evidence, so now my subconscious started to upgrade the program. So then I got to where I didn't have to think about it. It was now automatic to do it this way instead of to do it this way. It quickly sends a new message. Quickly! So play with me again. Everybody do this with your hands. Because remember, what we push, what we hold down stays down. If I stood up here in this class, yeah, it's not hula dancing, but that looks really good. But this is if I stood up here and talked to you this way, how long before you're going to be like, okay, I need a break. This is heavy. It's heavy. So wait, keep doing it. Now, what I want you to do is this. Don't change the motion at all. Just change your palms. What happens?
Whoa.
Isn't that cool? It changes the weight. Try it again. Try it again. Push down. It changes the weight of the energy. So that's the same thing. That message goes out. If I do this kind of message, it'll be a very different feel of a class than if I do this kind of a message. We did this with a business leader out in New York. He had thousands of employees, and they were all complaining about the manager. They're like, you got to get rid of this manager. It's like, why? I don't know. He's just awful to work with. So started following the manager around. Turned out every time he talked to somebody, it was like this. Okay, you got to get this done. Okay, this is your job. This is how he talked to people. So he told him, okay, all we want you to do is when you talk to people, put your palm up instead of down. And he's like, are you kidding me? Like, just try it. So he'd go out and he'd talk to people and he'd go, like, yes, like that. He's like, okay, this is your job. You got to get this done. Have you done this? By the end of the day, people were coming in going, what did you do? You totally fixed him. This is awesome. And it's like, that makes a difference. We can make quick differences when we understand what's going on. But nobody ever bothered to tell us what was going on. Okay, so part three. I'm going to read the words this time, and you tell me the blanks. So we just make sure everybody got them. Okay, the ability to understand and see nonverbal communication is a powerful tool that will help you to connect with others, express what you really mean, navigate challenging situations, and build better relationships. While you are speaking, the brain prepares and organizes 650 words per minute to say. At the last moment, our consciousness filters this down to 150 words. As a person speaks, there are an average of 500 words that are held back. These hidden words show up in body language. We should have that kind of sound. Here, do that with me. Is so cool when we understand the shortcuts that we're given. But nobody ever bothered to teach them to us. So this is what is going on inside your subconscious. You're building new evidence so that the programs can be upgraded. Now, I got to teach you, are there any questions so far? Let's do questions. And then I'm going to teach you one more piece about eyes. So if there's no questions, then I'm going to have you tell me what you're learning. Okay, go right here. And if you grab the microphones right there so they can hear you online, and just tell us your first name.
Carolee.
What was that?
Carolee.
Hi, Carolee.
Hi. So what do you do if you have that push, that energy, that intensity, like that guy had?
Mm-hmm.
Did he go around and actually like push down, or?
Yeah, this is literally what he was doing when he would talk to people. It was like this. And we just did this. Because here's what's going on. This guy with crazy hair called Einstein, do you remember him? He came up with an equation that showed that everything is made out of energy. E equals mc squared basically states that everything is energy. So the chair you're on is energy, your boots are energy, the carpet's energy, the air around us is energy. Now, in engineering, they teach us if you want to understand how energy moves, it moves very similar to how water moves. So if you want to know how electricity moves through a wire, you would look out water goes through a tube. They're very similar. Well, our body actually perceives them somewhat similar. In other words, if you're in a swimming pool and you move the water, it ripples the energy and somebody next to you will feel the ripples in the water. Have you ever experienced that? I've so been to a swimming pool in the summertime and there's so many kids that it's just like, where's the calm part of the pool? The same thing happens in the energy around us. When we move the energy, it sends a vibration through the air to people around us. Our vocal cords are proof of that. We are changing the energy around us and sending a message. Does that make sense? So the problem is, because the energy feels like water, if I get too much energy, I start to feel like I'm drowning. And my subconscious responds much in the same way, like it's a drowning kind of a situation. This is why many people don't like to be up in front of a group of people, because they feel too much energy coming from off the people, and they feel like it's a drowning kind of a situation. Does that make sense? And so if I have that influence over the energy around me, I can also adjust the influence in the energy around me. And people will feel the difference. So for me, when you go watch my TED Talk, I talk about how I realized I needed to go from closed body language to open body language. And I was like, all right, I can do this. And then I would look down, and they were already back folded. And I'm like, what? Okay, open. No open. Okay, that's not open. Oh my gosh. And I literally was walking around like this during the day. And people are like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just upgrading. And I'm like, really? I mean, it was so bad that when I would keep my hands down, my fingers would swell because I didn't have enough little blood vessels to pull the blood back out of my hands because I'd never needed them before. And so I was literally walking around like this for a few days while I was trying to change the messages that were going around. And so when I finally got to where I could keep my hands in an open, neutral position, I started having people come up to me and they were like, you just seem so light. Have you lost weight? And I'm like, I'm glad you noticed. And in my head I'm going, the scales hasn't moved, but I've lost energy weight. Does that make sense? So that's what we're doing when we're upgrading the messages we're sending out. We're actually changing the feel of the energy around us. We all have an energy field around us. It extends about to the edge of our fingertips. This is kind of our energy bubble that we walk around in. And we feel other people's. When you pass people in the grocery store, have you ever passed somebody in the grocery store and you could tell their energy was different than yours? I remember I was at Lagoon one time with my daughter, and we were walking in, and she walked past this guy, and she goes, ooh, I don't like him. And I'm like, you know him? And she goes, no, I don't know him. I'm like, why don't you like him? It just felt weird walking past him. You ever walked in the house and said, ooh, mom's in a bad mood, and you haven't even seen mom yet? We're sensitive to energy. Humans are sensitive to energy. So it's a very real thing. We just have never been taught that our body language can affect that. Does that make sense? Excellent. Okay, big round of applause for Carolee's question. Hey, anyone else? Anyone else have a question? Okay, right here.
That's probably
Will you grab the microphone?
I don't know if mine is an observation or a question, but I had sort of an interesting experience with the pushing down and the lifting up.
Yeah?
I don't know if I do that. I haven't been observant enough or aware enough of that, so I don't know if I do it. But immediately when my hands turned up, the energy in my heart and my brain and everything felt lighter. But I think it was the cognitive dissonance thing because I had this sort of half panic. But putting things down is easier. I have to lift it if I do this. Like, it's just kind of reflecting in my head, even though the feeling I had was exactly what you said it would be and should be. I felt lighter. But I had this second of panic that, but I have to lift it if I do this.
And so just because this is deep class today.
Yeah, and it's a program, I understand.
I'm so going to go there because you brought it up. So the thing is that while, what picture do I want to use here? Let's use this one. So with all of this information going through my subconscious and the programs, remember how I said that I mentor people to help show them what's between them and their goals that they're trying to achieve? One of the biggest things that's between us is those old programs. Because we have lots of programs. Anybody here have more than 2 programs? Yeah, we've got a few. And most of them could use an upgrade. Most of them could. Very few of us get through childhood without at least a big handful of negative programs that need upgrading. And so what you're feeling there in that moment is we're adjusting the energy, and you are feeling the programs that have the drag on them. That's what you're feeling. And so that's opportunity. Because remember I said when you understand the problem, you now have opportunity. And so as soon as you felt that, you started to feel your program. And the program there that you're feeling is, oh, it's my job to carry. Instead of lifting energy is not a carrying of people. But you triggered that program and felt it. And we're like, no, I can control easier. I can keep things where they need to be easier. Because we go, oh, shoot, here's another tangent. Okay. Somebody say, just tell me, Ann. Okay. All right, fine. So what happens is that our, how do I say this in less than an hour? Let's see. So people will go into control when they are hurt or scared. And the reason they go there is because control is fast. It's a fast way to feel safe. Okay? So that's part of the reason why we will hold things down. Now, lifting, somebody who is I like to call it the difference between being a lighthouse and a lifeboat. We don't have to be a lifeboat. We get to be a lighthouse. It's not our job to carry everybody around us. Sometimes we think it is, especially moms. We're like, no, I have to carry my family. No, you have to lead your family. You don't be the lifeboat, you be the lighthouse. Because would you want your mom to carry you? No. But we think it's our job to carry our kids, or to carry our spouse, or to carry people around us. It's not true. What our job is to lead. So I be a lighthouse, not a lifeboat. And so those two programs there, control is easier because lifting, my program says, means to carry. So then you get to upgrade that program, and then you do it by just telling yourself over and over and over again, I am a lighthouse, not a lifeboat. I am a lighthouse, not a lifeboat. I do not have to fix people to love them. And when we can upgrade that, now this won't feel scary and heavy because we realize, oh, I am leading, not carrying. And people don't want to be carried. They really don't. People want to have the ability to do things themselves. I was just telling somebody yesterday that I mentor. I asked him, I said, how many people, let's just pretend that you're a physical trainer. Physical trainer? Is that what they're called when you go to the gym and you have a personal trainer? I'm like, that sounded wrong. That's right. Personal trainer. Whoever said it. Thank you. Let's just imagine you're a personal trainer. I said, how many people are going to sign up with you if you go and you say, I've opened a gym and you are going to love working with me as your personal trainer? Because when you come to the gym, all you have to do is put your cute gym clothes on and I will lift all the weights for you. And all you have to do is watch. And I'm like, people will be excited to sign up, right? Because it'll be so easy. And she's like, why would anybody sign up with that personal trainer? I'm like, that's the point. But if you stand up as the personal trainer and say, you will love me as your personal trainer because I will show you what to do and I will believe in you longer than you will believe in you. And I will cheer for you and I will walk by you, but I will not lift the weights for you. That person is going to have more people sign up with them as a personal trainer. People don't want to be saved. When I go to CrossFit, I walk into the gym and my first instinct is not to walk in and say, will you lift these weights for me? They're really heavy. My first instinct is to say, show me how to lift this weight. I want to get stronger. That's what we want. But yet there's some part of us that's like, no, it would just be easier if somebody else would do it. Sure, we can say that, but it's not what humans want. Humans want to be stronger. They do. So you are now fired from the job of carrying everybody. You don't have to do it. Lead the way by learning how to be stronger yourself and believing in the people that you are the lighthouse for. Does that make sense? Yes. Two of you. Okay, well, it's Michelle's fault. She asked the question. So big round of applause for Michelle. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, right here. Would you grab the microphone? They just can't hear you online.
Will you just repeat why people go into control?
Because if they're hurt or scared, when people are hurt or scared is why they go to control. And man, we could just talk about that for the rest of the afternoon. That would be fun. And what was your name?
My name is Becky Jo.
Maggie?
Becky Jo.
Becky. Okay, Becky Jo. Big round of applause for Becky Jo. Thank you, Becky Jo. All right, awesome. Okay, I want to teach you one more thing about eyes before we're done. Or have you had too much? Are you full? No? We can have a little more?
Yes.
All right, and I will just stand on my soapboxes sometimes, and you can agree with me or not. I don't care. But I'm going to show you how this is beneficial. In our world, we have a little thing called cell phones. Anybody ever seen one? They're kind of cool. They're like not very big. They can fit in your pocket, and you can access the entire planet from one. They're also a problem. And the problem that starts happening is that we connect with the world through the phone instead of through people. And so you see the scenarios where there's a bunch of people standing around and they're all texting each other, standing next to them on their cell phones. You ever experienced that? I used to think it was just teenagers until I was standing with my family at the movie theater one time and we're all on our phones and I'm like, are you serious? We're actually talking to each other on this phone. And it's good that we have this added ability to connect. But today's subject is eyes. And so I'm going to bring this to your awareness. One of the problems that's happening because our focus is always on the cell phone or the computer is people are forgetting and avoiding eye contact. We're forgetting and we're avoiding eye contact. It's even getting to where people think that eye contact is inappropriate. That making eye contact is, that's I got to invent words for it here, but it's insulting or it's inhuman to make eye contact with people. Eyes are a beautiful communication device. They are beautiful. And they're the seat of energy for ourselves. When you make eye contact with people, you feel the energy. It's a good thing to make eye contact, and it's becoming a lost art. It's becoming a lost art. Parents aren't making eye contact with their children. And so children are learning by example not to make eye contact with people. In fact, I hear it more than I've ever heard it. People will say, my children are just afraid to make eye contact. And I have to teach them different things about helping their kids to make eye contact. But where it's coming from is we as the adults are starting to forget how to make eye contact. So how do we recover this lost art? Well, I have 2 recommendations for you. And like I said, you don't have to do them. You don't have to. Once you leave this class, you can choose to leave everything that you learned at the door when you leave. That's fine. But I don't think it's really possible. I tried to smear on you enough that some of it's going to stick to you, whether you want it to or not. So there, grr. But the thing is that I would suggest 2 things for recovering this lost art of eye contact. And the first one is, when was the last time you made eye contact with you? I'll bet you it's been a while. Because what we tend to do is we look in the mirror in the morning and we look at our hair, or we shave, or we put on makeup, or we brush our teeth. And we don't look at the eyes. We're looking in that mirror for the 15 to 3 hours that it takes to get ready in the morning, and we avoid the eyes. We won't even make eye contact with ourselves. And I know this is true because I went to the mirror one time and I was like, no, I look at myself in the eyes. And I was looking at the mirror and I was like, oh man, I can't even. Okay, come on. Okay, look in the. It was harder than I thought. I challenge you to go home and see if you can look at yourself in the eye for a whole minute without drawing the curtains behind your eyes. Now, what I mean by that is when we make eye contact with people, we actually have the ability to close off the energy behind our eyes. Have you ever done that, you guys? When you made eye contact with somebody, it's like, no, I don't really want to look at them. And so we look at them, but we close the curtains behind our eyes. Look yourself in the eye in the mirror and see if you can actually allow the connection with you. Because you're used to looking out the back of your eyes. We do that a lot. But do you ever look in the front of your eyes? Interesting thought, right? We look out the back of them, but are we willing to look in the front of them? That is what would cause connection with self. And yet, we avoid it. And if we're going to avoid eye contact with ourselves, what's going to cause us to make eye contact with somebody else? So that would be the first thing I would suggest. The second thing is, when you are, sorry, I have a hair, okay. The second thing is, when you are anywhere, at the grocery store, at the checkout line, at the doctor's office, there are different people that we have to talk to. And yet, we won't even make eye contact with them for 5 seconds. So I would suggest that for the next week, whenever you tell somebody thank you, that you actually look them in the eye and hold eye contact for the whole, 2 seconds that you say thank you. 2 whole seconds. And some of you are going to find that that's uncomfortable. It's 2 seconds. Kind of crazy that this has to be the challenge. But in our current world, this is what's happening. This is why, as a presenter, any of you that are going to come to present yourself, that's one of the things that we'll teach you, is that when you're presenting, make eye contact with people. Make eye contact, because often, it's even in the presenter world nowadays, people won't make eye contact with their audience. They'll just typewriter. Do you guys know what typewriters are? Okay. They'll just typewriter around the audience. They'll just glance over them, or they'll look over the top of them, or at their feet. They won't make eye contact with the audience. And then you'll see it even online. People are teaching a class online. They won't make eye contact with the audience because they don't want to look right at the camera lens. And they don't want to make eye contact. So just try it. 2 whole seconds, you guys. 2 whole seconds. You're telling them thank you, and you make eye contact with them. You do those 2 things, and you will start to change the tide that's happening of avoiding eye contact, of losing the art of eye contact. And I know some of you, it'll be harder to do the personal eye contact in the mirror. Some of you, it'll be harder to do the 2 seconds of eye contact when you say thank you. And I mean, some of you, I know what'll happen. It'll be like, oh, I'm going to go get gas, but I'm going to make sure I can pay at the pump, because if I went in and paid, I would have to make eye contact and say thank you. So then we're going to avoid people. Don't do it. You guys, people are powerful. People are what will help you reach your goal. I'm going to say that again. People are what will help you reach your goal. And I asked you at the beginning of class, is your goal, does it matter to you? And you said yes. So if it matters to you, then you have to be willing to interact with people. Dang it. Because that was not the answer I wanted 8 years ago. Because I was really comfortable not liking people. I was comfortable in my cubicle at work. I was comfortable hiding on the couch under a blanket. I was comfortable ignoring the doorbell and my phone. But the fact of the matter is, if you want an upgrade, you've got to connect with people. Changing your body language will connect with people. Changing your eye contact will connect with people. And changing the questions you ask will connect with people. So because you came here today, you have those upgrades available to you. The only problem is, I cannot install them for you. You have to choose to install them. You get to do that. So you ask better questions, you make eye contact, you change your body language. Ask better questions, make eye contact, change your body language. Say them with me. Ask better questions, change your eye contact, change your body language. Make eye contact. I said it wrong. Sorry. But I forgot them. Help me. Ask better questions. See how smart you guys are? That's the upgrade that's available to you. That is available because you invested in you this morning. So I'm impressed. And nobody died. Did you notice? Nobody died. It helped that I didn't have any volunteers come up front. I'm going to suggest one other thing that you could do to access eyes this week. If you want to see eye movement in action, this is what you do. It's fun. You get somebody that you like, and you ask them this question. And I'm going to give you the question in just a second. And then you watch their eyes. Because at first, they're not going to believe you that you want the answer to the question. So you got to say, no, I really want to know the answer to this question. And they're going to be like, no, I want to know. And then watch where their eyes go. Whether they agree to give you the answer or not, watch where their eyes go. Because here's the question you're going to ask them. Are you ready? You're going to ask them, why are you so amazing? Why are you so amazing? And they're going to go, ugh. They're going to try to push that one out in every which way. And you say, no, I really want to know. Why are you so amazing? And then watch their eyes and see where it goes. Do they go to what somebody has told them? Do they remember a past experience? Do they go into their emotions? Go watch. See what their answer is. And have them, and pull it out of them. Say, no, tell me really, I want to know. And then if they'll give you an answer, listen to what it is and see if it matches where their eyes went. And you can even tell them it's homework. Say, hey, this crazy teacher lady this morning gave me some homework, and I have to ask somebody a question and get an answer. Would you be willing to answer my question? And then when they say yes, now you've got an agreement with them. So you got them. So then you ask them the question, why are you so amazing? And they'll be like, you told me you'd give me an answer. And then they'll look and they'll give you an answer and see if it matches. Try it with a few people. When you ask somebody a question, you open their mind to that answer. Whether they give it to you out loud or not, their brain went and looked for an answer. So that's why we have to be careful with the questions that we ask. That's one of the things that I teach the people that I mentor, is to be careful with the kinds of questions you ask. Because if you ask a negative question, people will look for the answer to it. Like I was in Costco one time. I'm often in Costco because I have 4 boys, teenagers, they eat a lot. So I was in Costco and I was watching this cute scene where this mom was shopping and this boy about 10, 11 years old was pushing the shopping cart. And the mom would go down the aisle and the boy would follow and the mom would stop and she'd look at stuff, and so the boy would start looking at stuff. Then the mom would move on and the boy would look up and he'd move the shopping cart on. And I was like, aw, and I was just thinking, aw, how cute. When all of a sudden the mom found something she wanted, she picked it up and she turned, and the boy hadn't gotten to her yet for her to put it in the cart. But I thought, it's just still this cute scene, and he went up to her, and she put it in the cart. But then this happened. She grabbed the cart and pulled it, and she goes, "Why are you always so slow?" And I was like, oh shoot, let me have a seminar right here in Costco. Because when you ask that kind of question, your brain will find an answer. And so now in that boy's head, he's looking for the answer for why he's so slow. But you're going to break the cycle, because what you're going to do is go ask somebody. What are you going to ask them? Yep. You ask that question, and their brain will look for the answer. So what's the question? Yes. Ask cool questions like that and make eye contact, change your body language. That's the recipe for changing results. What do you think? Is that good? Are we in for that? Awesome. So I just want to tell you, when I left the Master Your Influence class, I was like, what should I do with my body language? I didn't know. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I pull in the garage and I start to walk in the house. And when I came in the house, I go to the family room and all my kids happen to be sitting in the family room. And I'm like, oh shoot, here's my chance. What am I going to do? Hi everyone, I'm home. And my kids are like, huh? Now I know I'm going to own this. And I just stood there like this for a minute. And all of a sudden, my 13-year-old ran across the room and hugged me. My kids were so hungry for me to be open to them that they would take this corny version of mom standing in the doorway over the one that had been pushing them away. Small changes can make a big difference. So you're armed now. You have this handful of new information that you got today. Go use it. Go put it into practice. Did you learn something new today? Yes?
Yes.
Did you learn 2 things?
Yes.
All right. So they will make the most difference if you put them into practice. So I highly recommend you pay attention and learn more about body language and communication. In our world, it is going to matter more than ever that you know how to communicate. The fact that you know how to make body language. I can make my body language. The fact that you know how to make eye contact and adjust your body language, those are powerful concepts that the world at large does not fully grasp. And so you are ahead of the game. So keep going. Keep learning more about that. Would it be okay if I told you really quick about the class that I went to? Would that be all right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, just take a second. Can you pass out that handout? It talks about it right here on the back of your handout. This at the top, that's me. Little bit about me. See, we match. That's me. But right down here, this is the Master Your Influence class. The next Master Your Influence, we actually just had it last week. Who was there last week? Awesome. Was it good, you guys?
Yes.
Did you learn a couple of things? Nice. Well, the next one is going to be in May or in August. So May, let me look here. May 10th through the 12th. May 10th through the 12th, or August 2nd through the 4th at the Salt Palace downtown. So when I went to this class 8 years ago, I walked into the class and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here. There were almost 80 people in the room. And I was like, I didn't want to be around people. But I stayed. Now, at this one last week, there were 1,100 people. So there's a few more people that come to it now. And that's a really good thing because we get to hold it at the Salt Palace. And at the front, when you come in the first day, you'll notice that we've set up a stage up front and we have screens on both sides of the stage so everybody has the best seat in the house. Because we want you to be able to learn and see and to take notes and to move forward. So when you come a little early the first day so that you can get your name badge. And I don't have, do you have a book? You don't have any could I use it? Thank you. So at the Master Your Influence class, we used to give you a book like this. And in this book, just look, he's got lots of good notes too. But there's pictures and words. Because remember, we know that you have a left and a right side to your brain. And we're going to teach you some cool things at this class. And notice that some of the things that we're going to talk about, let's see if I can find it here. We talk about fingers. Do you know every single finger has a different message in body language? And if you know when somebody rubs a finger or picks at a finger, if you know what message that's coming from, it's very powerful in understanding the body language. So we're going to talk about those. We'll give you some more in-depth about eyes. We'll talk about the space, the different energy spaces around us. It's called proxemics. When it comes to body language, we have personal space and social space and public space. And understanding that is very powerful. Our book now is an online book. So when you come to the class, we're going to send you an online book. Now the reason that's cool is because now when you open to this page, you can click or touch on each picture and it will take you to information explaining each part of that. Now if we had printed all of that, the book would be like this thick. But now there's a lot of bonus information just in the book. So if you haven't been to Master Your Influence for a while, I highly recommend you come back and get the new upgraded online version of the book. Is that cool? Thank you so much for letting me borrow that. So the class will be those 3 days. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday when you come to the class. Now, back when I went to the class, it was not offered for $227. When my husband signed me up, tuition was higher than that. In fact, I recently was teaching one of these body language shows, and somebody came up to me afterwards and said that they had just registered and gone to a class in Arizona. They had flown down there for a 3-day class. And he told me that that class cost him $6,000 and that he had learned more in the class that I had taught him than he had learned in the whole 3 days down there. We are packing the knowledge into there. We pack it in there. The majority of this class is taught by Kirk Duncan, the owner of the company. I teach many classes inside the company. At this one, you'll see me there, but the majority of it is taught by him. We're also looking at some other dates and possibly doing one down in St. George in the fall. So Master Your Influence is a growing class. It's a wonderful place to be. So that class is usually, what's the tuition on there? $227, which is less than the $6,000 this guy paid to go to Arizona. It's also less than what I paid when I went to Master Your Influence 8 years ago. Because you came here today, I have a couple of bonuses for you. Inside the online academy right here, inside the online academy, you'll see that we have an audio library. Now in this audio library, there is some CDs that I would highly recommend you listen to. The first one is this very first one right here called Building a Mind of Steel. Studies show that we have about 50 thoughts every single minute. 50 thoughts a minute. So just for fun, when they were counting your thoughts, they counted how many of them were negative. And they found that on average, 74% of your thoughts are negative every single minute. So on average, if we're having 74% negative thoughts, if we can even move that needle a little bit, it will change our interactions. It will change our communication. So Building a Mind of Steel is about upgrading and changing the kinds of thoughts that are going through our head on a daily basis. I would circle that one right there. I would highly recommend you listen to that one. The next one I would highly recommend to you is on this page on the bottom left where it says perfection is a direction, not a destination. Circle that one. This is a CD that I recorded because I had never considered myself a perfectionist. But I discovered there's a lot more different kinds of perfectionists than I realized. And if you don't think you're a perfectionist, you need to listen to this and see what kind of a perfectionist you are and how to get out of the traps of that perfectionism. So I would highly recommend you listen to that one. Then the next one is this one that says vision board. Circle that one right there. Vision board, this is how to get the left and the right side of your brain working together toward your goals. Working together toward your goals. And then the other one, what's the other one I have here? So the other one, because of our subject today was about eyes, circle this one that says speaking eye to eye. Second one down on the second page right here, speaking eye to eye. This is an activity about eye contact and about connection and communication. So those 4 audio CDs together are, we've just upgraded our pricing here, but I know up until a couple of months ago, if you purchased those online, it was a $74 value. $74 for those 4 CDs. For those of you who would like to sign up to go to Master Your Influence while you're here today, I'm going to gift you those 4 audios. I'm going to gift them to you. They will send them to your email, and they will be an audio download so you can listen to them on your computer or your phone or whatever device you'd like to use. Because what we discovered was CDs are going the way of 8-tracks. Anybody heard of an 8-track? Yeah. And so I have some copies of those CDs right here. Now, you might want to keep them sealed and have them autographed because we aren't going to print any more of them. But I still have some. And you guys put your names in this drawing bowl. I would like to give these away. Would anybody like these? Yes. Oh, awesome. So let's see. We have, right here, we have, all right. I am going to give these 3 away. These 3 away to the same person. Perfection is a direction, vision board, and building a mind of steel. Would anybody want those? Ooh, this one is going to go to Charisse Lonica. How did I say it? Oh man, I said that all wrong. Okay, so those are for you, Shanice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you do want to listen to them, they work better if you take the plastic wrap off and put them in the device and push play.
I don't know what that is.
I know, right? My car doesn't have a CD player that I just got. I was like, really? Where's the CD player? You are welcome. Okay, I have another set. Would somebody else like these too? Oh, all right. So these are going to go to Clark Edwards. You're welcome. Congratulations. Okay, and then I have 2 more over here. These ones are called the bucket list and don't dump your cup. Remember I had mentioned to you the bucket list CD? This is about how to safely get out of your comfort zone. And don't dump your cup. This is about, it's about our give-receive cycle. Our ability to receive good things that are coming to us. It's about learning how to balance our time. I also talk about the trap of procrastination on this CD. So these are very powerful. And I actually have 2 copies of each one right here. So 4 people I'm going to draw out for these. Would anybody want any of these? Awesome. Good answer. All right. That's how I'll get. All right, so I know everybody likes to put their papers in folded different, so I try to grab the different kinds of folds. All right, so the first two, the two bucket lists, one goes to Jacqueline Plested. There you are. Congratulations. And then this one goes to Candace Kilpack. There you are. You're welcome. Okay, and then we have the two Don't Dump Your Cups. This one goes to Becky Jo Davis. And this one, I think, I can't read it. Last name is Christensen. Nick Christensen. Yep. Congratulations. Awesome. All right, so those people, I highly recommend you make friends with them and see if they will loan you their CDs so you can listen to them. But because you came to class today, if you would like to register for the Master Your Influence class, I'm going to give you a special tuition. Now remember, you'll get those 4 audio downloads. Now, this special tuition is good for you or other people that you would like to sign up, because my husband signed me up when he came, so I figure I should be understanding of that. So if you or somebody you know wants to come, this tuition that I'm going to give you up here is good for you or for them, or for each of you. And each of you will get the copy of those 4 audio downloads that I gave you. The Building a Mind of Steel, the Perfection is a Direction, the Vision Board, and the Speaking Eye to Eye. Those 4 audio CDs. So when you come to the class, I do ask one thing of you. When you come, make sure you come find me and say hi to me. Will you do that? Because I will be there at the class, and I love to get to see people that have come to one of my body language classes and then come to this class, because I know what a change it has made in my life. Because look at this right here in the lower left-hand corner. You're going to learn 3 keys to overcoming your mental filters, 15 principal areas of body language, and 3 effective steps to calibrate your mind. Now, that's just the beginning. You saw the notes that what was your name? Clark, that Clark had in his book. You get lots of information, and it will serve you for the rest of your life. So those of you that have been to Master Your Influence, is that worth your time and investment to be there? Yes. I highly, highly recommend it. So to register for the class, what you do is you go out to the table right outside the door here. You guys that are online, they're going to give you a code online so that you can log in and also get access to this amazing offer that I'm going to give you. Does that make sense? Okay. Besides what is the tuition, are there any other questions about this class? I covered it all. So you come to the Salt Palace, you make sure you give us your email, because that's where we'll give you the confirmation and we'll send you your online book. You come say hi to me when you come to the class. The tuition is good for you and for other people. We got everything? All right, awesome. If you are interested in my group mentoring, I highly recommend you come talk to me after class. And then I will also recommend that you go use the things I taught you today. Go put them into practice. Go do the homework. Because until you do, it's just information. Cool? All right, so your special tuition, including those 4 audio CDs, is, what is it? $79. You guys, make a small investment in yourself that will pay off big time. $79. I just want you there. Can you tell? I just want you there. That's what I want. Because I know that it won't be just you that is learning from this class. It will be all the people that you interact with from that time forward. So make a difference. Be that rock that goes in the pond and makes those ripples out by coming and spending the time to be there and learn these things. Thanks, you guys, for being part of this class this morning. Make sure you register before you go out, and I'll be here for a few minutes to answer questions. Please give yourselves a big round of applause for being here this morning. And all of you online, make sure you access your code. You guys are awesome. You are welcome.